Hello, guys. Welcome, everybody, to Purple Haze Podcast. Everybody, I am your lovely host, Isaac here. Before we get to the video, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you haven't already. So, the Vikings 53-man roster is officially here. So, basically, all the 53-man, and of course, we had to cut 90 to 53 basically quickly before the Tuesday deadline, so it was official yesterday. So we're going to go ahead and react to that as we start with QBs. Of course, they got Kirk Cousins, Nick Mullins, and Jaren Hall. So instead of going with two, they decide to go ahead and go with three. In case if anything ever happens, we make sure we need extra backups. So the main question about this, Kirk Cousins is going to be the outright starter. No surprise there. But the main question is Jaren Hall going to be QB2? I mean, very well. He could possibly be. I hope so. Because he's shown some very good flashes. Basically, especially against the Arizona Cardinals and basically throughout the preseason. He has shown flashes. In the second team compared to Nick Mullins, it is night and day. I still feel like Jaren Hall should be the QB2 to Kirk Cousins. So, as for running back, they've signed a fourth one, which they got today. At least I think it was today, they signed Alexander Mattison, Kene Nwangwu, and they got Ty Chandler and Myles Gaskin, of course, from the Miami Dolphins. So, I think this is more than a solid running back because Kene Nwangwu, he's actually hurt right now. Not sure if he's going to be healthy or not, but because Ty Chandler's going to be your running back. Because if Ty Chandler has to rely on somebody once he goes down, Myles Gaskin is going to be there. So I absolutely is going to be there in backup in case Ty Chandler goes down. So I am more than happy to see that as all because I am good with Myles Gaskin maybe. As for fullback, we got CJ Ham, no surprise at all. We don't need to really analyze that really. As for wide receivers, we got Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, and Brandon Powell. And as for I did miss Jalen Reagor, but he got waived basically today, which is a surprise to me because he was a first round pick, so I figured the Vikings wouldn't get rid of him. But Jalen Reagor did get waived. I am okay with that to basically fill up a spot for anything. I believe that is Myles Gaskin that got filled in for the spot. So Jalen Reagor, he's been underperforming. I see where the Vikings are going from here, but you could have just cut him right now and just signed Tristan Jackson, who, by the way, was one of the surprise cuts. Tristan Jackson, I felt like he had very good athletic ability. I just figured maybe he would get some snaps in the regular season and make the 53-man. As it turns out, he didn't. So it's a little bit disappointing, but it's all right though. I'm not that mad though. As for the tight end position, it's more than solid. We got TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt, and Nick Muse. So Nick Muse was able to make it to the roster. There's nothing really to say about the surprise cuts of the tight ends because it does not need fixing. It is more than solid, I will say, personally for me. As for basically TJ Hawkinson being the best, Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt, and Nick Muse, they are very good playmakers, which tells me that the tight end position is absolutely locked and secured. Because last year, the first 3 games of the 22 season were underperforming tight ends, so besides Johnny Munt anyways. So I feel like this is a very solid tight end group. The offensive line, not really great. As for the starters, we got Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Brian O'Neill. As for the bench, you got Austin Schlottman, Blake Brandel, and Oli Udo. So the offensive line group is just, besides everything else, I thought basically is underperforming out of all of these positions at all. Out of all of them, they're the most they are the most problem that needs to be filled. And what Kwesi said, basically, he says he wants continuity on offensive linemen, which means that he's okay with the offensive line sucking. He's fine with Ed Ingram. He's fine with Ezra Cleveland at guard, which is the main position we need to fix, by the way. I know, which is what we've been talking about. And the only consistent block lineman has been Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill for last year. They were the most consistent. And Dalton Reisner is still out there, but because Kwesi is the type of guy to basically, let's say that your tires need aired on your vehicle. And then Kwesi, instead of getting an air pump and filling up the air on his tires, he said, nah, it's good, it's fine. So that's basically what he's doing with the offensive line. That is what he's doing. And the last thing I want to see from him is shock when the offensive line is bad. So outside the tackles, it's not a whole lot to see. As for the defensive linemen, we got starters. We got some Dean Lowry. We got Harrison Phillips. We got Kaius Tonga, Jonathan Bullard, and Jaqueline Roy. A lot of great performances as far on the preseason on the defensive linemen, like Ross Blacklock, TJ Smith, and Sheldon Day. I feel like those three probably could have made it, but they all didn't. And so, they're all very good. Kaius Tonga, I feel like this dude could absolutely perform well as far as others. So I think the defensive line is more than well. As for the outside linebackers, it is very strong. Marcus Davenport, Daniil Hunter, DJ Wonnum, Patrick Jones, and Andre Carter. You could argue that maybe Andre Carter possibly should be in place of him. But the most surprising cut that I thought was Luigi Villain. And Benton Whitley. I feel like Benton Whitley did a fantastic job against the Cardinals. Luigi Villain was just as disruptive, but the outside linebacker position is absolutely strong just with those guys right there. You have to choose some. You can't just keep all of them. So understand, I really hate to see mostly Luigi Villain cut, but there's really nothing that you can do, really. So it's okay. So as for inside linebacker, just as strong, you got Jordan Hicks, Brian Asamoah, Troy Dye, and Ivan Pace Jr. It's no surprise that Ivan Pace Jr. made the 53-man roster. I was confident that he was going to make it, and he has absolutely been tearing it up in the preseason. And you know what? And the question that I have for the linebacker position is, where's Ivan Pace going to be placed as far as starters, the immediate backup, or the backup to Troy Dye, That is the question I have for Ivan Pace Jr. because the floor for me should be the immediate backup behind Jordan Hicks and Brian Asamoah. So I am good there with the inside linebacker group. It is absolutely great. As for cornerbacks, they have just a little bit. They have Byron Murphy, Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth Jr., Mekhi Blackman, and Najee Thompson. So, Najee Thompson, I feel like the Vikings should put him on the 53-man roster when I saw him because he had some good special teams, and they did so. They put him on. They put him in for the 53-man, so I am happy for that. As for like Byron Murphy and a Caleb Evans, you're gonna have to either rely on. I mean, I am fine with relying on Mekhi Blackman as the backup to a Caleb Evans and Byron Murphy if they have to go down. Okay, I'm fine with that. But in some of the most surprising ones, I thought Joejuan Williams did a phenomenal job. He had back-to-back games where he had a touchdown breakup, and I would put him over Andrew Booth Jr. because Andrew Booth Jr. is getting cooked out there basically in the preseason. Let's just call it what it is. Andrew Booth Jr. is underperforming in the preseason as well. If he's going to do bad against the others in the starting position, I don't know. I would have picked Joejuan Williams and cut Andrew Booth Jr., to be honest, but okay, as far as the safeties, they got a lot of safeties. They got 6, as a matter of fact, instead of 4, which was last year. They have Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, Josh Metellus, Lewis Seen, Jay Ward, and Theo Jackson. So they were able to squeeze in 6, which is actually, minus Lewis Seen, they are all very, very solid. I mean, you basically got Harrison Smith, which is, he's no surprise at all, and Josh Metellus was going to make it anyways. But Jay Ward, I mean, they saw that game against the Cardinals where he absolutely brought the heat on that play, on that strip sack, I feel like. And Theo Jackson's been making some great plays as well. And as far as like Lewis Seen, I mean, I don't like to bash anybody or anything, but Lewis Seen has been underperforming as well. He's made lazy tackle tactics, basically the first 2 preseason games against the Seahawks and the Titans. I mean, I just gotta tell it as it is. Lewis Seen is absolutely not doing great at all. As far as like trying to tackle receivers, trying to tackle running backs, I just don't see how. I don't know if he can really do it. I mean, you might as well put in someone else other than Lewis Seen, and then basically cut him and bring in a new offensive line, specifically guard, for that matter. It's just, I just can't defend Lewis Seen, basically, at this point. So, Lewis Seen, I'm glad that he's okay from injury. I don't like to see people from injury, but here's the deal. I would much rather tell it as it is, because what I see from Lewis Seen right now, Jay Ward has made a bigger impact than Lewis Seen. That is the truth, and I believe. And Theo Jackson has made more plays just as much as Lewis Seen did. And as a first round pick, they're not going to cut him, but okay, whatever though. Anyways, as far as special teams, we got we got the usual long snapper Andrew Paolo, and kicker Greg Joseph, and punter Ryan Wright. I was a bit, not much to say on the special teams, but the kicker Jack Podlesny they cut right before training camp, because we didn't get to see him during the preseason, but they decided maybe it's underperforming, and Greg Joseph's going to be the outright starter. I am absolutely fine with that. So basically, the 53-man roster is finally set. I'm not sure really how it's going to go, but more than absolutely a solid, you just need to cut a couple. You need to cut specifically Andrew Booth Jr. and Lewis Seen to get some linemen on that team. And then you're basically good at this point. So those are my final takeaways of the 53-man roster. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Skull.